Welcome to Expert Views on ADR Ever, a podcast about simplifying the traditional African method of settling disputes or the appropriate dispute resolution ADR in a bid to attract more users to settle their disputes or conflicts with mediation, arbitration, collaborative law, restorative justice, negotiation, conciliation, and of course, early neutral evaluation. My name is Chinwe Ebunike, postdoctoral fellow at the University of Brighton, United Kingdom, and the fellow of the American Bar Association section of dispute resolution. I am delighted to welcome Amber Williams to the EVA show. She is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Resolution Institute, the largest dispute resolution membership organization across Australia and New Zealand. Amber was the CEO of the New South Wales Law Enforcement Conduct Commission and Chief Human Resources Officer for the New South Wales Department of Justice. She wears many hats, so I've left the links to her profile below. Welcome to the show, Amber.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's such an honor for you to grace the show. Thank you so very much. So without further ado, the first question is, what led to the birth of the Resolution Institute?
That's a good question. We have two main predecessor bodies. So one which was IAMA, so the Institute of Arbitrators and Mediators Australia, and that was actually established back in 1975. And the other is an organisation called LEADER, which stood for Lawyers Engaged in Alternative Dispute Resolution. And that was created in 1989. So they merged to become Resolution Institute. And really the reason why they both were created was to help our community to develop ways to better manage costly conflicts, and also to really lobby for the use of mediation and arbitration within the legal system. So a strong need for kind of creating what was alternative back in those days, now not so much.
Okay. So how far has it enhanced access to justice in Australia? How far has ADR enhanced access to justice?
Look, I think for ADR in Australia, we have come such a long way. We have, looking back in the 1980s, it was very new and really unknown type of dispute resolution. But now we have, it's such a mainstream way of resolving disputes. So we have many court annexed type programs where courts mandate mediation before it gets to a judge, particularly in family mediation and some civil and commercial matters. And we've recently had some court jurisdictions really promoting the use of arbitration to reduce the court load, which is really positive steps, I think, in Australia and what we can do here. So it has come a huge way. We don't call it ADR anymore here, or we call it appropriate dispute resolution like you do, but it's not alternative anymore. It is definitely a mainstream practice here.
Oh, okay. So what were the major obstacles and challenges faced at the inception of the Institute?
I think it was the fact that it was just really, I guess with arbitration in the construction world, when you look at IAMA and its roots back in 1975, it was really in the building and construction industry. So they really wanted to reduce costs of disputes. And really that was, I guess, the main driver for IAMA. As that kind of became more in practice, I think the obstacles that we faced are really just about the unknown of ADR and the unknown of mediation and arbitration, and really what was the benefits of those when they were not seen to be tried and tested, and lawyers were so embedded in the practice of going to court. It was the done thing, and there was no other way that was really accepted here. Those obstacles don't necessarily exist now. It's really the education, I think, in the law degrees and the younger, I guess, future generations of lawyers coming through, and being willing to advocate for mediation or arbitration, conciliation, whatever it might be, with their clients rather than pushing them to go to court. So that's, I think, the future of where we need to go.
Oh, okay, thank you so very much. So in recent years, what are your assessments of its use, accessibility to the public as well?
Look, I think over the COVID times, the accessibility to the public has really grown here in Australia. When we first started going into various lockdowns, different jurisdictions in Australia, particularly in small business, really turned to mediation in particular to help resolve tenancy disputes, small business disputes, leasing disputes that came out of COVID. And government was really pushing people down that pathway, which was brilliant. So it's become so much more front of mind now. And I think that's really brilliant, especially in other areas like family, where it's so being historically so litigious and being kind of mandated. That accessibility, people have no choice now. They need to go through that mediation process before getting to the courtroom. So those barriers and obstacles we don't see necessarily. It's just really continuing that education.
Okay. So how would you assess the patronage of the Resolution Institute?
Look, for us, and I think you mean patronage by people coming to us to yes, excellent. So we have people that come to us for various reasons. So firstly, to get trained and accredited as dispute resolution practitioners. So for us, that looks like mediation, restorative justice practitioners, arbitration, expert determination, conciliation, just to name some of what we do. So people come to us because of our history in those areas to get trained and accredited to practice in that. People also come to us when they are looking for a neutral dispute resolver. So if they're in a dispute, a commercial dispute, and they can't agree on a mediator or an arbitrator, they can call Resolution Institute to appoint someone under either our rules or under their contractual rules. And people come to us as, I guess, members to get that support as practitioners and really supporting them through their career, whether it's professional development, for people who want to know more about dispute resolution and really just want to be engaged and build those networks. So we have a really diverse group of people who are involved in Resolution Institute, and I think that's really our biggest strength.
I think I'm going to come to the diversification of Resolution Institute, but I want to ask about looking at the Australia Bar Association. What are the notable achievements of the intervention of the Resolution Institute?
Look, I think with the Australian Bar Association and Resolution Institute operate in very separate areas. So the Bar Association very much with, I guess, the barrister fraternity here in Australia. But they do have an ADR section, and that is really forward thinking as well. So we have a lot in common with that group, working to, I guess, the same outcomes. The ABA and both Resolution Institute and the Bar Association very much focused on international mediation and how both of our members can really promote Australia as somewhere where you can have, whether in a mediation or an arbitration, as a really safe place and a safe pair of hands. So things like the Singapore Convention for mediation. Both groups have been lobbying for Australia to sign that convention, and we recently did. And now looking at how we can put that into place and ratify that convention.
Okay, thank you. So looking at the diversification of the Resolution Institute in recent years, that's the introduction of the mentors and mentees. What necessitated this, and what's its advantages so far?
Yeah, we introduced the mentor program as a way to help new practitioners understand their obligation and give them a safe person to without breaking confidentiality, but to help guide them through what can be a really isolating profession. And for us, it's really important to look at how do we get younger and newer practitioners. And I don't mean young as in 18-year-olds coming straight out of uni. I mean younger than people, because obviously mediation and arbitration are commonly second, third, and fourth careers now. So we want to get people involved earlier, even if they're not practicing, but just being engaged in the whole process of dispute resolution. So that was one avenue of doing that, with a real goal to get those younger generations involved, so that when they do practice, they've got that network already built, they've got that support system in place. And we see that as the feedback we've got from that has been really fantastic. And that supplements their own professional supervision processes as well. So we really wanted to engage those younger members, and we've done a really good job at getting that up and running. And next step is to start expanding that and getting more people involved.
Okay, thank you. And so, what recommendations do you think you could give to improve the use and services of Resolution Institute?
I think
in the future, sorry.
In the future,
Yeah.
No, good question. I think
You've done a good job so far. You guys have done a good job so far.
Oh, thank you. Look, I think it's how do we continue to support our members in what is a really fast changing environment now. So the landscape that we're working here in Australia is constantly changing. And for dispute resolvers, that means that they do need to be supported in that changing environment, how to respond to that. And that's where I think Resolution Institute can really start to kind of play a role moving forward. So who are the future members of Resolution Institute? How can we bring them into the broader community? And I think for us that can be many things. So we sit across Australia and New Zealand. How do we bring other international professionals into our community so that they can benefit from what the Australians and New Zealanders do, and we can benefit from practices and cases and matters that you can learn from, but share that back with us. So I think there's real opportunities there for sharing of knowledge and information that I think is a recommendation that I would definitely make if I was to have that opportunity in that kind of environment. But also really continuing to drive the diversity of members. So I don't know if you've got this problem in the UK, but here in Australia, there are very small numbers of female arbitrators and females involved in commercial dispute resolution and mediation. Yeah. So we are looking at ways at how do we improve that, and how do we increase the female participation in those areas. So some of the things that we're working on now.
Okay, thank you. So how safe and confidential are practitioners' data with the Institute?
Sorry, what was that?
How safe and confidential are the practitioners' data with the Institute?
Yes, that's always front of people's mind right now, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Look, that we have just gone through a whole new database and system upgrade
yeah.
to make sure that the information that we hold meets the highest levels of data security practices, so that our data is safe. So it's the information and the confidentiality of disputes that we have on file, parties' information, our members' information. We're continually making sure that we're putting things in place to make sure that we stay up to date, and it's as confidential as it possibly can be.
Okay.
So we're walking the talk, because it's really important right now.
Yeah.
There's so many hacking situations and people inadvertently making mistakes and sharing information. So that's something that's always front of mind for both Resolution Institute and our practitioners.
Yeah. All right, thank you so very much. So, Claire, to what extent are employees or workers aware of ADR options regarding disputes or conflicts at their workplace?
That's a growing area here in Australia.
Yeah.
It's so I come from an HR background and an employee or industrial relations and disputes from that perspective. So it's interesting to see over time going from the normal focus to go to an investigation, then to a tribunal for a decision. Whereas I see over recent years, there has been an increased use of mediation to deal with things like bullying, harassment, discrimination. And I think that's really positive, because that way, if people are going to continue to work together, it's being able to restore those relationships in the workplace and deal with them in a way that doesn't have the adverse consequences that an adversarial process has, is really important and imperative in all workplaces, I believe. So I'm a personal advocate for that. I lobby very strongly to my HR and IR network so that they do really look at mediation and restorative justice practices as a way to resolve disputes in the workplace. And I hope that will continue to grow here, because it's really, really important. And the benefits are so strong compared to going to a tribunal and having everything just taken out of your control.
Yeah, thank you so very much. So in terms of what categories of people can join the institute?
Anybody can join Resolution Institute. So we
Oh,
have different categories of membership. So we have student memberships, which are for people who are studying full-time at university, particularly in either law or psychology, and do want to bring dispute resolution into their mind really early on. We have an associate membership that is for people who aren't practicing in dispute resolution but have an interest in it. So they may be practicing as a lawyer or a barrister, but really want to keep on top of what's happening in the dispute resolution area, but they don't have an accreditation. And then we have our professional membership, which is for those people who are an accredited dispute resolver, whether it's a mediator, an arbitrator, conciliator, etc. And our fellows, who are people who have been practicing and are the leaders in their field. So they've been involved in dispute resolution for many years and provide that mentor role and giving back to the community that have supported them in their careers.
okay, thank you so very much. So the final question is, what is your advice for the mass advocacy of ADR?
What's my advice? I think for me, if people are going to practice and be involved in ADR in any shape or form, those relationships and connections that you can form are really important, whether they're formal within a court jurisdiction or in your own organization, or informal by joining an organization in your own country or internationally. I think that's the advice I would give people who are involved in ADR, to really find those connections that will support them both formally in their career or informally as they need it, and go and progress through their involvement. So I think for me, it's, make sure that you get involved and stay engaged with others who are like-minded, and together that strength will continue to drive ADR into the right directions.
Oh, thank you so very much for this masterclass. I appreciate your insights, perspectives, and the learning you shared with us today. And I believe that potential users would embrace all you have stated herein and opt for ADR whenever the need arises. And of course, ADR practitioners would embrace all you've stated. They know their data are safe, and of course, we need, because I'm also a member of the Resolution Institute,
Yes.
and we need more people to come join us, become a mentor or blog as well, because at the moment
I love your blog. It's fantastic.
Thank you so very much, and thank you so much, Amber. Sorry for encouraging members to explore and blog about ADR, or and get involved. I truly appreciate that, and I would also urge other people who are yet to join, to join the Resolution Institute, as Amber has stated, all the benefits that you can take on board with you when you join. So yeah, come and join us. Thank you so very much, Amber. I'm so very grateful for you coming on the show and stating all this here.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right, cheers. Thank you very much. Bye.